As I figured out my mental health struggles and my relationship struggles and things like that, I was no longer compelled to write about those things because they weren't present in my life anymore. For a while, I thought I was going to shut down Clo Bare.
So in the past year, your blog has been doing well. You're getting more and more followers. Do you feel like it's turning from a hobby into a business? Talk about that entrepreneurial journey that you've been on.
Every side business owner's dream for their side business to turn into their full-time gig. For a really long time with Clo Bare, I didn't really know how to monetize it because I was so focused on the personal growth space and I was focused on mental health. But when I started talking strictly about money, I don't really talk about mental health all that much anymore. I talk about mental health in relation to money, but all of my blog posts are still up there. Like you can still read everything that I used to write about. As I figured out my mental health struggles and my relationship struggles and things like that, I was no longer compelled to write about those things because they weren't present in my life anymore. For a while, I thought I was going to shut down Clo Bare because I didn't feel drawn to talk about those topics anymore. And I didn't really think I could pivot into anything else. And I kept thinking about, what am I passionate about? What are things that I really care about? And I just kept coming back to personal finance. And I had no idea if personal finance was something I would ever be able to monetize. I just knew that I wanted to use the blog to keep myself accountable for it. But as I went on and as I followed other influencers in the space and other people who are writing about it, I was like, I could really do something with this. Like I could keep creating content and eventually, either through a YouTube channel or some other way, I could make money just from the content creating side, but I could also start offering courses and classes and workshops and things like that. And I love doing that. I'm an educator at heart and I used to teach English in China. I love teaching. I think that education is so important and education in a way that's easy to understand. Like there are good teachers, there are bad teachers. And I'm one of the good teachers and I know that. So it's one of my strengths and I am aware of that. So I understand the importance of it. And so going into the money space, I was like, this is an opportunity for me to use this skill. It's an opportunity for me to teach people. And it's so important. It's something that I resonate with so much. But I was not thinking of starting financial coaching when I did a year ago. The way that it happened was I am connected to somebody here in Chicago. Her name's Saya Hillman. She owns Mac and Cheese Productions. And it's an event company, but it's like excursions, it's experiences, it's all of these different things that she does. And I had attended one of her Cross It Off days where you go in and you literally just co-work together for several hours. It's like a day dedicated to getting things done. We started following each other after that. And she saw all of my posts about, sharing my budget. That was it. I was just sharing my budget at that point. And she's like, I think that you have a skill that you should be teaching people. Do you want to do a class for one of my events? Like, you want to do an event with me? And so I did I can't budget class. And from there, people wanted coaching. And so I scrambled and put together a coaching opportunity. I was like, okay, I'm going to need a form. I'm going to need some way to accept payments. I didn't have an LLC. I didn't have anything at that point. I didn't even have an agreement. I was just like, yeah, sure. Venmo me and I'll teach you. Like, we'll figure it out. And so I just fell into it in June of last year. I knew it was something I wanted to do eventually, but instead the opportunity presented itself. And I said, yes. And I was like, okay, I'll figure it out as I go. Am I ready for this? Probably not. Am I, set up for this? Absolutely not. But I made it happen. And so now a year later, I'm like, okay, I should probably start formalizing some of these things, not just relying on Google Forms, like actually getting a CRM in place and things like that. But I incorporated into an LLC last year, like a few months after I started. And, I've got some processes in place. I have some things that are actually working, but I was not expecting it to turn into a business as quickly as it did. And now I've definitely see the potential for growth. It's just, finding the time to monetize some of the things that can be a full-time so that it can be a full-time business eventually. So the goal is definitely to make Clo Bare my full-time gig. I'm lucky that right now my job does allow for me to do both. But I think that once I have my CFP license, I'll probably be able to take Clo Bare full-time. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. So we'll see what happens over the next year.
That sounds so incredibly exciting. And as a passionate entrepreneur myself, I can relate to some of the things you're saying. So I'm excited for your excitement. I was curious about how your current employer looks at the situation.
They don't know.
Oh, they don't know. I thought you said
so my boss knows. I'm very close to my boss. She and I followed her from my last company. And some of my coworkers know about Clo Bare, but my name's not, like, Chloé Daniels is not on it. So when people search Chloé Daniels, Clo Bare usually will come up, but it'll be, down in the search results. Whereas you Google Clo Bare comes right up. I don't talk about it at work. I don't share. I have a separate LinkedIn for Clo Bare. I try to keep it separate. I think my CEO, he knows that I've done I've done workshops and things like that before, but I don't think he has any idea on, the extent of it and how much money I'm making from coaching, and that it's like an actual business. So that's been good. And I plan to keep it that way until the day comes that I quit and say I'm going off on my own business.
All right. Well, we won't reveal you.
Yeah, luckily they're very separate. I do communications and marketing in the engineering industry, and then financial coaching is very different. There's no conflict of interest there. So
all right. Well, we won't reveal anything that shouldn't be. But I can tell you, if you continue going the way you are, it's just a matter of time until they're gonna all know about it, right? Like their nieces and nephews are gonna be showing them this TikTok program that they just rolled into, and it's gonna be you. And they say, "Wait a minute, I know this girl."